that had been queried in the press. But the police have charged him instead over two entirely different invoices. £5,500 for stationery and £3,000 for cleaning. Well, from his home in West Lothian, Mr. Devine has given me an extraordinary account of precisely what he's done. I began by asking him exactly what the cleaning claim was for.
I have cleaning, minor maintenance and security services, and the cost is £180 a month. The people come in, clean the flat on a Friday, they keep an eye on it over the weekend or during the recess, and I pay them on a monthly basis £150. As I say, we were advised by the fees office that the rules were changing on the 1st of June. If we still wanted these services, that we had to submit a claim in May to cover the coming year.
Right, so
that's what I did.
So that was a claim for the coming year, so for work that hadn't yet been done.
Yeah.
Right, and who gave you that? I mean, so that wasn't a receipt. That was a sort of a bill for the forthcoming work.
That was This was every month since I've been leaving £180 for these people as they do their work.
And so, what period of time was that supposed to cover?
From May till March this year.
From May till March this year. So how do you get to £3,000 if it was?
Well, I think some of it goes back to the previous year. But as I say, I'm at a total disadvantage here because I was interviewed. I was referred to the police on public speculation about shelving and about electrical work. This has come totally out of the blue. Yeah. Both these receipts have come totally out of the blue.
Right. And so what about the stationery receipt, the £5,500? What was that for exactly?
The stationery was for, what do you call it, paying for leaflets, and it was also for moving money from one account to another. I'd run out of money in the staffing account, and had a lot of money in the communications account.
If you were claiming new money, £5,500, how is that moving money from one account to another?
It's moved into the staffing budget.
From which budget?
Sorry, into my budget. We have 3 separate accounts. You have London living allowance, a staffing allowance, a communication budget. Sorry, 4, and an office budget. And you can move money around these accounts.
So which account were you moving money from, and which account were you moving money to?
The communications budget to the staffing budget.
Right, but you were actually submitting an expenses claim. So how is that? How is that? You know, what was it, stationery or not?
I was advised by whip that I could do this.
But you were advised by who?
I was advised by a whip. By a whip? An individual in the whip. Yeah,
a Labour MP.
Yes, who said that you could move money about like this.
Right, but
which is why. But
was the claim actually stationery or not? Were you actually claiming for stationery or not?
Yes.
£5,500 worth of stationery. Is that what you were claiming for?
Yes, there was stationery, and other parts of the money went into the staffing account.
So you were using a stationery claim to pay for staffing?
Yes.
So you were claiming for one thing and using it for another?
And I was told, and I was told that that was acceptable.
Right, but by a Labour whip, not by the fees office.
Nobody queried that. And as I say, you know, you can move money around accounts. This is why we're asking that in the first instance.
Isn't that straightforwardly fraud, though, if you claim for one thing and you use it for something else?
No, well, I don't see that as. The fraud I would suggest and the criminal activity I would suggest is if it's to my benefit. None of this was to my benefit. I did not financially benefit by these 2 receipts.
But in simple terms, you submitted a claim for £5,500 for stationery. You did not spend £5,500 on stationery, did you? You spent some of it on something else.
But I moved money around as I was told you were entitled to do.
Right, so where did that receipt for £5,500 come from?
It came from a printer's.
That you had done?
I had work done, yes.
Yeah, but how did you get a receipt for £5,500 if it wasn't all for stationery? Some of it was for staffing costs. Did somebody invent a receipt for you?
It was not invented.
What was it?
It was explained to me that I could move money around. This is what I have done. I have a receipt from the individual who received payment, who would be receiving payment over a 6-month period. I was told by the fees office, by an individual in the whip, that I could do this.
Right, so you got a receipt from somebody who you were paying as a member of staff and for £5,500, and you submitted that as stationery. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, and it got, then what do you call it? And they
but that was a lie then, wasn't it? Because it wasn't stationery.
Yes, it was allowed, yes.
No, it was a lie because it wasn't stationary, was it?
No. I would argue it was not a lie. I would argue that this was allowed at the time. I came down as a by-election candidate in October 2005. I had no in-service training. I had no advice on how to deal with accounts. I was given a pile of books, basically went to the fees office, filled in a form, and carried on with advice that I got from colleagues.
I'm sure that may well be the case, and I'm sure you were all very badly advised, but what you seem to have explained to us is that you put in a false receipt. It was a receipt for one thing which said another, and that's obviously why they've come after you.
No, the false receipt would be if the £5,500 was going in my pocket.
No,
what I'm saying to you, it wasn't.
It's false if it wasn't what you said it was.
It was about moving money about in accounts.
But you can see, I mean, surely that a receipt that says one thing but is actually for another is a false receipt.
Sorry, what receipt?
It's a false receipt, isn't it? If it says it's for stationery, but it's actually to pay somebody for working for you, that's a false receipt.
Yes. As I say, in my innocence, I was told that was acceptable.
Right, and what other... I mean, who was this person who was advising you?
Well, I don't want to mention his name.
Well, did you take his advice on anything else?
I was investigated publicly over 2 issues, shelving and electrical work. I just did not give the police the receipts relating to those matters. I gave the police all my receipts. If I thought there was a problem with regards to the printing or with the cleaning, maintenance and security, I would not have given the police those receipts.
No, but it's clear that you didn't think...
I would not be having this conversation with you on this matter, because from my position, I thought I had done nothing wrong.
Surely you can see, if you just take a step back for a second, where the rest of us are looking from, that if you put in a receipt for one thing and it's actually for something else, that is false, and therefore you've broken the law.
Well, I don't accept that. You see, that's the debate clearly we've got to have in court. I think I would have broke the law if I benefited financially from the arrangement. I didn't benefit financially from the arrangement. Okay. I was basically in a situation where money was running out of one budget and we had a lot of money in another.
Now, what is your claim on parliamentary privilege? Why is it that you believe you shouldn't be facing these charges at all in court?
Well, we're not arguing that we're above the law. What we're arguing is that we basically should go in the first instance through the parliamentary process. We've just had a debate about what was the procedure. Were you allowed to carry money over? Were you allowed to transfer it from one account to another? The experts in that field, I would suggest, are in the House of Commons. And I do feel, and the three of us feel, that we're being treated in a very, very different way from a lot of our colleagues. I mean, I don't know what was the criteria for referring people to the Star Chamber. I don't know what
that was the Labour Party process, which disqualified you from being a Labour MP.
Yeah, but people yesterday have paid back £20,000, £30,000, £40,000. You know, there's no police investigation with him. I don't want to have a police investigation with him. But, you know, I referred myself to the police. But why are we getting dealt with the police when there is clearly a process within the Parliament that allows for parliamentarians to go in the first instance and explain their case to the House of Commons Commissioner?
Your defence as to why you've done nothing wrong seems to rest solely on the advice of a Labour whip who you won't name.
But we have discussions among parliamentary colleagues. There's discussions with opposition whips. You know, as I say, I have not benefited from these two receipts.
But that doesn't make it right, does it? The taxpayer lost because the taxpayer was paying for something that you said was one thing, when in truth it was something else. So, so somebody was being diddled somewhere along the line.
No, sorry. You're saying the taxpayer lost. The taxpayer did not lose. because an individual who did work for me and was carrying on working for me was paid and with the money. Now, from where you're sitting, this may not look, what do you call it, straightforward. But, this happened when I worked in a union. This what happened when I worked in the health service. Money was moved across accounts, in particular towards the end of the year. If more money had been spent, if money was short in the revenue budget and there was money in the capital budget, it was moved across. From my experience of work, my experience of life, this is common practice.
You don't feel that your actions have contributed in any way to your own downfall?
Well, if I've done anything wrong, it's I've been naive and I've listened to the wrong people. Have I benefited £1 financially? No, I haven't. And that, I think, is the difference between saying that I'm a criminal and saying that I've made a mistake.
The Labour MP, Jim Devine.